In this video, we're going to put together a quick software dashboard to look at operating systems, deployments, and what's out of date and unsupported. Give us an overview of areas we need to focus on. If you haven't done so already, you want to make sure to pull your data in. We cover that in another video in the OT-based custom data connector installation video. But really quickly, you just go to Get Data, Other, OT-based custom, click Connect. Enter your parameters here like your host name, connection protocol, data types, CVE priority if you're pulling in vulnerability data, and then a location filter if you wish. We are not using any filters here. I've pulled in everything already, so we have a full data set. The next thing we're going to do, which we haven't really done in previous videos, we're going to add a little aesthetic to this dashboard by pulling in a background. So we're going to go to wallpaper. This is under the format page, under the visualization section, format your report page. We're going to browse. We'll go ahead and select our dashboard, our wallpaper. There we go. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is bring in all of the widgets of the dashboard first. We're going to do a couple of tables at the bottom to look at the software and then the devices that we're filtering on. We'll do a location tree map and then a couple of counters, a device criticality bar chart, and a slicer to slice up based on the operating systems that are no longer supported. So the first thing, let's just go ahead and bring everything over. We're going to use the new card widget, and we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to bring a couple of those in. Okay, I'm only going to bring one in for now because I'm going to copy this one once I've done some formatting on it. Ultimately, we'll have two here, but let's just start with one. And then we're going to bring in a location tree map. We'll put that right there and have it nice and centered. And then we'll bring in a stacked bar chart. Bring that over here. Again, we'll line that up. Bring it over just a touch. And make that even with our other chart. There we go. And then let's bring in a couple of tables at the bottom. So we'll do a table here. There we go. Bring that to about the middle of the page, I suppose. Then we'll do a Command C, Command V. Go ahead and copy that table, drag it over here. Great. Now we have two tables. Perfect. For the first visual, let's just count the number of OT devices we have in our software object. So we'll, under the software table, we'll grab our device ID, put it in here. Let's do distinct count. There we go. Now, there's a lot wrong with the formatting on these on the new card. I think they look better than the old one ultimately, but the formatting right out of the gate's a little weird. So we're going to go ahead and just change that. First, let's rename it. Let's rename it to OT devices. There we go. Next, let's do a little bit of formatting on it. On the card section down here, we're going to take off the background, take off the border. And then we're going to look at the call out values. We'll put it on OT devices and we'll change the display units to none. And let's put it in the center and let's give it a color that matches our particular system theme here. There we go. That looks pretty good. We could maybe even do a little darker one. Not that it matters too much, but yeah, that looks nice. Now we're going to want to change the label value, which we have here. We're going to go ahead and make that white. And I think the size of it looks pretty good. We'll maybe put it to 15. Just make it a little bit smaller. Great. Now we've got a format that we like. Let's Command C, Command V that one. So now we have an identical one. I like symmetry. So we have two now that are the same. Let's change the name of this one to OS Installations. Perfect. And from there, we want to add a filter to this one. Well, first of all, we actually need to get that data point out of there. My mistake. And then we'll instead put in count of name, distinct, or count of name rather. That's going to give us a very different count than what we want. That's okay. Let's do OS installations. And we'll go back and go ahead and do the same formatting we did on the other one, where we're going to go to cards. Looks like the background's already off. That's good. We'll do the call out value, set it to OS installations, and then we'll do the color we picked, center that, change that. Now we have 88,000 there. That's what we're going to use a filter to correct. Let's correct the label. We made that 15. There we go. All right, so now we have two pretty good looking counters. This one has data that's not what we're looking for. We're only looking for the operating system data in this particular dashboard. So let's go ahead and take category as a filter over here in the filters section. So we click add data fields. We're going to just select OS. That gives us 1489. That looks good. You know, you can use commas here if you want. I prefer commas. I think it looks just a little, makes things a little more clear. So we're going to go back to the section in here. We're going to do the call out values. We're going to change the number of decimal places to 0. That will put a comma in there. We'll do the same thing in here. Under the values, we need to change that to OT devices, and then we'll do decimal place 0. Perfect. So we have our counters. Great. Next, let's make the stacked bar chart for device criticality over here on the left. We're going to go ahead and put criticality on our y-axis here. We're going to put criticality in our x-axis there. And there we go. That one came out looking pretty good already. That's great. Move that over a little bit and make it a little more obvious. Now let's move this up. Let's do a little adjustment to our formatting of the visual. We'll do the bars, the color. There we go. All right, yeah, that looks pretty good right off the bat. And now what we want to do is change that title. Let's change the values first of all, make them stand out a little more. That's on the y-axis. And then we're going to go to the x-axis, change the values there, make those white so they stand out a little more as well. Great, now all that looks nice. We can probably bring this over even a little more, I think. Okay, now we want a nice looking title over here. So let's do that. In order to do that, we're going to go to title, which is already there, but we're going to change that to, let's say, device criticality. There we go. Make that white, and let's do 15. Let's do 13. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, next let's do our location tree map. To do that, we're going to select the tree map we already dropped in. We'll throw reference location in the category, and then we're going to do device ID from the software table in the values section under count distinct. There we go. That looks pretty good. And we'll bring that over a little bit more. And as you can see, the formatting already looks pretty good on this. And we'll go ahead and do our title. Let's make that. Let's make the title devices by location. And let's go ahead and move it to the right. So we have that one left justified, right justified. Let's put white as the color, and then we're going to put that up to 14 just like we have our other one. Perfect. There we go. We have a simple tree map now. A note from the other video, you can edit the interactions on all of these widgets so that certain widgets don't update whenever you perform actions on another. In this case, I want my OT devices from a dashboard perspective. I want that to remain static. We don't want this to interact with the other tables. So I'm going to go ahead and go to optimize, view, format. Once you've selected a widget, edit interactions, and you'll see all these new little buttons pop up on your widgets. So I select this widget. I'm going to click no to tell this widget do not interact with the widget that I've selected. So we're going to select this one now, come back over here, tell it no, do not interact when you click on this one. So now to test that, if we click on either of these widgets, it should update accordingly. Perfect. This one updates. That one does not change. And that's exactly what it's expected and what I was looking for. I'm also going to make this one not interact because I think it's good just to have a static view. We can look at the more granular device criticality within one of these tables if we want to. So we'll edit that interaction. Start by clicking here. Tell that one, let's try that again. Tell that one, do not update. Great. Now when we click on this, it does not make this one change. That's perfect. All right, great. Next up, we're going to do the device ID table down here in the bottom left. All right, the first thing we're going to do is just drop in our fields to this table, and it's going to be pretty simple, all pulled from the devices table. We're going to do device ID, and then we're going to do serial number. And then let's add type, model, and reference location. There we go, type, model, and you can add whatever you feel is necessary in these tables. Let's go to reference location. There we go. All right, we've got our nice data there. Everything looks good. We'll make the type a little bigger because we have some bigger names in there. We'll make the reference location a little bigger and the model a little bigger. There we go. Now let's format it to look like this. It doesn't really match our aesthetic of the rest of this report, this dashboard. So we're going to come over to General. First thing to get rid of all of this white space here, or this white color, is to just go to Style Presets, change it from default to none. That's going to pretty much get us where we need to be. And then on the values, we're going to change the color to white. We'll change the alternate text color to white. And then we'll go to column headers, change that to white. And that all looks pretty much exactly the way we want it. We also want to take a similar approach that we did with the other table as far as filtering to only show what's necessary here. So instead of showing every device we have in our portfolio, let's go ahead and filter that by category. And we'll go there, and then we'll drop that to OS. There we go, 1489. Now we have a much smaller data set to work with. Looks perfect. And the next thing, if we want to link these device IDs to the profile in OTBase, we can do that very simply by going to the build visual section, go to device ID, drop down, click on conditional formatting, web URL, and then say under the devices section, click on profile, and then click OK. Now all of these are linked to our OTBase device profile. And if we log in here, you'll see that it takes us straight to that particular switch. So we can click on any of those and the same thing should happen. Great. All right. So that table looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. Okay, the next thing we want to add is something we forgot to add when we did the initial widget drop here. We want to add a slicer into the center here to be able to look at our Microsoft Windows operating system installations and be able to filter our tables accordingly. So we went ahead and added a slicer new over to here. And then from here, we're just going to add in under software name. Great. Now I've already done some filtering over here on the right prior to adding this in here. And I've done some formatting on the widget itself to make it, the indication when you're clicking on things. That's already been done, but I'll walk you through it really quickly. So first thing I did to filter down to this particular subset of all of my operating systems is I selected category OS. So I just drag category into the data fields here and then select OS. Then I drag name into the data fields, which gives me this one. And I put starts with Microsoft Windows. You can ignore this one down here. That's something I did earlier. And unfortunately, whenever you put something in there, there's strangely no option to remove the second filter or clear it out in any way that I'm aware of. So anyways, we're going to leave that as is. And then I put another filter using name to actually go through and select the operating systems that are relevant to what I'm trying to do here. You know, you can see in here, there's all this server stuff, and I could add that in here, but then this list is going to get really long. I could also put another list beside this one if I wanted to include maybe all of my server versions so that I can see outdated Windows Server deployments. But for the purpose of this video, I just wanted to show how you can add a slicer in here. And as you can see, this slicer will update the table accordingly when I click on Windows Professional or Windows Enterprise. It's a multi-select here. There we go. And I'll just quickly show you some formatting stuff I did on here. First of all, the title you're familiar with. On the layout, we put that to a single column. And that's how we end up with this. And then we do on our call out values, you always want to, well, we actually don't need to do anything on that one, but we will go to the button section. And I added a border, which gave us this nice white border here. And then I put a shadow on the selected. So you can actually change the button format depending on the action that's being taken on it. So you can apply the settings to the default, you can apply it to the hover, which gives me this nice red ring, and then you can apply it to once selected to do a certain thing. That, you know, that way it's a little more clear what you're actually clicking on. All of that formatting is possible through the format visual section of the visualizations pane. Okay, let's move beyond that and move down to the last widget. We're going to do a software table down here. I've already got a basic filter on this one, category OS, because again, this dashboard is geared towards looking at Windows operating systems. So we don't want to add in application and patches and all of that stuff. We just want to look at our software operating systems. So I'll go ahead and drag the fields in here. Let's do name. And then we're going to do, from the devices table, we'll do criticality. There we go. And then we're going to do category from the software table. It should be all OS, but this is a good way to ensure that we have that correct. There we go, OS. We'll go ahead and add the vendor from the software table. And then let's add the version and the installation. The installations is going to be the count of name. That's how we're going to arrive at this. So we're going to do there we go. No, not count distinct. Let's do count. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let me just filter. Sort this table by my name column to spot check something. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Looks accurate. Now you notice when I do this, some of these resize, and that gets a little bit irritating, especially when you're trying to demo the dashboard. So what I like to do is set the length, the width of the columns as you see fit, and then you can go up here to view on your or actually format. No, it is on view. That's right. And you just click on block objects, and that's going to prevent all of these widgets from resizing whenever we take actions against other widgets and perform filtering operations. So that's pretty much it. As you can see here, we now have our device criticality. We have a location tree map, a device table down here with the device ID's profile linked. Oh, you know what we didn't do over here? We did not we didn't link our software name to the software profile. So why don't we go ahead and do that really quickly, and then we'll call this one done. We're going to click the drop down on name. Let's make sure I have the right table selected first. Click the drop down on name, and then we're going to do conditional formatting, web URL. There it goes. We're going to, under the software section, we will scroll down and click on profile. Summarization first is fine, and that's going to give us hyperlinked software names. Great. Now we have the nice hyperlink there. That looks good. And we'll go ahead and stretch the vendor out a little bit more here. There's a lot of interesting word wrapping happening there. All right, now that's a pretty good looking table. And that's it. Very simple to build. As you go through this process of building these dashboards yourself, if you have any questions about the data, how to pull it in to Power BI, or how to do different manipulation or write some DAX queries around it, or if you just want general tips or guidelines on building the dashboard, definitely reach out to us and let us know. We're here to help. All right, thanks.